Hello. So we are in week 2 of our knitted blanket-along. If you are just tuning in, we are doing a yearly blanket with the Pearly Shell Pirates. And we actually have a Facebook group. It's called the Blanket-Along with Black Sheep and the Pearly Shell Pirates. So you can go check that out. There is a link off of blacksheepfiberemporium.com. It's under our events and then classes and events, and then you go down to the knit and crochet along. Try to make sure that I link it here again, but we are doing kind of a yearly blanket, and you can start it at any time. Just because I started mine at the beginning of the year does not mean that you have to start yours at the beginning of 2022. You could actually do a historic year if you wanted. You could do some significant year for you, or you could start in the middle of the year, or whenever you want to. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's your blanket. You can make it the way that you want. So anyway, we have some vague guidelines that are up at blacksheepfiberemporium.com. And we also have those guidelines posted in our blanket-along group. So if you need a little help to get started, those are my suggestions. Go check out our page, our website, blacksheepfiberemporium.com, and also the Facebook group. So those two places you'll find extra information. But you can also just keep following along with the videos that I'm doing here on YouTube. And I have my guide for colors, and I have been tracking my temperatures. Now, I've been tracking my temperatures every day on my sheet, even though I'm only doing 1 day a week for my square. And I did choose Wednesdays. So my Wednesday is going to be 57 degrees. I know that's hard to see because it's backwards, but it's going to be 57 degrees for my Wednesday here, which is very warm for January in St. Louis, but whatever. That was the high. So that does mean that I'm going to go to my 50 to 59 color, which is this lovely gray, Lost Jewelry. So we will be casting on with this color today. And I kind of went through and decided that I wanted to do the sailor's rib this time because it has knit through the back loop, and I thought that would be something fun to show you. So I am going to turn the camera down and we'll get started. So taking a look at our sailor's rib pattern, and if you haven't picked it up yet, this pattern is my 1 square a week blanket-along pattern that I am posting in the Facebook group. It's already up in the Facebook group, and it does have the first 24 patterns that we'll be using in it because it's based on my old blanket from a few years ago that I did for kind of a mystery knit along for Black Sheep Fiber Emporium. And then I'm going to be adding to this so that there will be a different square every week, a different pattern every week for an entire year. So anyway, this file is up. If you don't want to go to the Facebook group, send me an email and I will send you the PDF to use. Anyway, we are going to be doing the sailor's rib today. Now, I do have videos, intense videos, on how to make these squares over on my Kelly Slack Designs channel on YouTube, because again, when I made these, I was doing it for Black Sheep Fiber Emporium as Kelly Slack Designs. And I actually ran classes on a different platform, which I will never use again, so we're not going to talk about them. And anyway, I put them all free on YouTube, so you can just get them free on YouTube now. And anyway, they go very, very in-depth on how to do these. So I am going to touch on this. I'm going to show you how to do these things, but we are not going to go super in-depth on how to do the pattern because I already have videos up that show you how to do that. Now, in the future, we will be going much more in-depth than what we're doing now. But let's see what our pattern says to do. So our pattern says that we need to cast on 32 stitches with color number 506 French. Now, ignore all of the color numbers in the pattern because those are actually for the Erica Knight Gossypium cotton, which we are not using. You'll also notice that I've recommended a US 4. I am using US 3s because I'm using the Mian cotton and it's a little bit thinner. So my squares are going to be a little smaller, and that's fine. So I'm using a 3, not a 4. And I am not using the Erica Knight. I am using Kokomo Yarns Mian cotton. And full disclosure, Kokomo Yarns is the wholesale company that Tina and I run together as well. But we really love this cotton. It's a beautiful fingering weight cotton, and it's soft and lovely. So that's what I'm using. So anyway, the first thing that you need to do is cast on 32 stitches, and then you'll follow your chart and repeat the stitches between the red lines. Now I did print in black and white, but this thick line here and here, those are my repeat lines right here. This is my chart repeat. So I will repeat the stitches here 5 times, and then I have just an outside stitch on each one. If you do not want to do the slip stitches, you do not have to. I have the slip stitches in here mostly because it does make a slightly tidier edge. It's a little bit easier to seam together. But if you don't want them, don't use them. It's totally fine. I also tell you to repeat the full chart 10 times, but that's up to you. The important thing is that our squares are, well, square. So for example, this one I actually knit the pattern as written. This was the Tostama pattern, and it's fairly square. And it should block out fairly square as well. But that's really the key right there, is this, you want to knit them as square as possible. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to cast on my 32 stitches. I'm just going to use a long tail cast on this time. And yes, I do make my first slip stitch a little bit funny, but this was the easiest way for me to do it, and then I've just never changed. But anyway, to do a long tail cast on, I also like to weave my yarn around my fingers. But anyway, to do a long tail cast on, you basically set up so that you have an M shape. So first leg of your M, second leg of your M wrapped around your fingers. And then we go under the outer loop, over the inner one, and then drop it. And that will cast on. So, and I do have more videos on how to do this long tail cast on. They are linked off of the blacksheepfiberemporium.com website under, I think, help. So there's a whole bunch of videos in the help section on how to do different cast ons and things as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cast on my 32 stitches, and then I'll be back. Okay, I have my 32 stitches cast on and ready to go. So now I'm going to just follow my chart. The written directions should match the chart. I always try to make sure I have both in my patterns, but I just desperately love charts. There is a key to this chart on the very last page of that PDF as well if you are a chart reader and need a little help. But I can tell you this is a slip stitch. This is our knit 1 through the back loop. And then this would be a purl. So the knit 3 and the knit 1 through the back loop. Now on the second row, we're going to slip 1, purl 1 through the back loop, which I will show you how to do. Knit 1, because you do the opposite on the back side. Purl 2, knit 1, and then again, purl 1 through the back loop. So, but they're not that hard to do, so I will walk you through it. So we're going to slip the first stitch. Now, normally we would knit through the front leg of our stitch, but we are going to knit through the back leg of our stitch. So we're just going to insert our needle into that back leg, because what that's going to do is it's going to twist the base of our stitch. And then we will purl 1, knit 1, 2, 3. Again, knit 1 through the back loop, so go through the back leg, and then knit as normal. And then we're going to repeat. Knit 1 through the back loop, purl 1, knit 1, 2, 3, knit 1 through the back loop, and repeat. So now hopefully you understand the swing of things, where we'll knit 1 through the back loop, purl 1, and we're going to repeat this all the way across, until we are at the end of our row. This is going to make a really nice little rib, a really nice little raised rib, because those stitches that you knit through the back loop also raise themselves up above the fabric, again, because you are twisting the very base of that loop, just like that, and knit that stitch. All right. Okay, now on the second row, we're just going to go ahead and slip that first stitch, and you want to slip it so that your working yarn is still in position. And now we're going to purl 1 through the back loop. So to purl 1 through the back loop, you go in on the far side or the left side of your stitch, and you need to go through the back of that loop. Now normally you would be purling here, but we don't want to do a regular purl. We want to twist this purl. So we have to go on the opposite side. We're going to take the tip of our needle, put it in on the opposite side of the stitch, and flip that leg. and then just go ahead and purl. Now our next stitch is a knit 1, purl 2, knit 1, and now we are going to do that purl through the back loop again. So again, we're not doing a regular purl here. We have to go in through the back side on the left side and push our needle tip through so that it twists the base. We actually have to do that twice because we have to restart our chart pattern again. And remember with the chart pattern this time that we are reading from left to right instead of right to left. So we did the slip, and now we're on the second repeat here where we've purled 1 through the back loop. We're going to knit 1 next, purl 2, 1, 2, knit 1. Now we're going to purl through the back loop again, twist the base of that stitch just like this. And repeat all the way across, and you'll repeat this 5 times across. To finish your row. Knit 1, purl 2. All right, here's our last purl 1 through the back loop for this row, and a purl to finish it out. So that's row 2. Now row 3 is pretty straightforward. You're just going to do your knit 1 through the back loops, knit across, knit 1 through the back loop, and then again we're going to do that purl 1 through the back loop, knit 4, purl 1 through the back loop. So again, fairly straightforward on this. So I am going to go work on my square and try to finish it up so I can show you all what it looks like. So just a reminder, you need to knit until your square is approximately square. When we get to the point where we're doing cables or lace, you may find that you need to do a little more or a little less than recommended in my pattern, because again, this is to my gauge and your gauge is going to be very different. So you need to adjust your squares so that they fit your gauge. If you don't care, you can just do rectangular squares and hope, or rectangular squares, rectangles instead of squares, and hope that everything fits together just fine. And for the most part it will, because you can do a little bit of magic with your blocking and make it look pretty. But I personally recommend that you just try to knit it as square as possible when you are working on it. I mean, there is some understanding that your squares are going to grow, but if you've done a gauge swatch, then you'll know exactly how much, so you can do the math and find that out. If, for example, you've done your gauge swatch and you wash it and it says that you are getting 4.5 stitches to the inch instead of 4, or 5 stitches instead of 4, whatever it is, then it's going to give you a lot of insight into how wide to make your squares and how tall to make your squares. That's where your row gauge comes in. If, like, my row gauge for this one, I think is supposed to be, let's look. That's a good question. My row gauge is supposed to be 9 rows per inch. But let's say that it's actually 10, then you can adjust it because you know you'll need a few more rows to finish out your square. So anyway, I am going to show you my finished square as soon as I get it done. Okay, I'm back. I have finished my second square, and I tried to kind of match my cast on and my bind off, but yeah, the cotton is very stretchy, so that is one thing. I know that this cotton is going to be very stretchy. I probably should have used 2s, but I just really wanted to use my 3s, so I used my 3s, and there, it doesn't look too bad. You can kind of see if I can hold it up and you can get the pattern. There you go. So you can kind of see the pattern. You can see that these knit through the back loops are much more twisted. They definitely stand up more on the fabric than what a regular knit would have. And they're a little uneven. That's partially because it's cotton. It's partially because, you know, I was relearning the pattern. But I don't really care. My square is done for week 2 and I'm happy with it. So I'll be putting this away, and I'm still going to keep tracking all of the temperatures, just in case I decide that I want to go back in and do something a little bit different, or I decide, you know, I've got too much of one color and my Wednesday pattern is so not working out, then I'll pick something else, because that is one thing. I want to make sure that I have a decent representation of my colors. And so, you know, maybe what happens is I'll do Wednesdays for the first part of the year and then I'll pick a different day. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But right now it's Wednesdays, and that's all right. So if you are following along, make sure that you are taking pictures, that you're posting to our Facebook group, that you're posting to social media, that you're tagging Black Sheep Fiber Emporium. We are going to be doing quarterly prizes. And all you have to do is anytime that you're working on anything with something from Black Sheep Fiber Emporium or part of this Blanket-A-Long, then tag us. It's hashtag Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, or you can do hashtag Black Sheep Pearly Pirates if you are specifically doing the Blanket-A-Long. I'll be searching both of those hashtags, and we're going to have a quarterly prize, and that's tatting, knitting, crochet, weaving if you want to do Zoom loom squares or something like that. It's super cute. Spinning counts. I don't care if you're not doing the blanket. Show me what you're working on. Let's see, embroidery counts. If you're working on some Mediterranean knotted lace, I especially want to see your Mediterranean knotted lace. Anyway, so all of those things, show me what you're working on. I just want to see it. And bonus, you might be the winner. So quarterly prizes. So I'll pull somebody at the end of March for, or I should say the beginning of April for January, February, March. So anyway, if you're planning out your year, we are going to have slow crawl again. So the slow yarn crawl will be back on. It's May 27th through September 5th, I think. So that should be the Friday before Memorial Day until Labor Day. Nice long slow crawl. I think I have 32 shops, if you count the 3 bonus shops that will be involved. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm finishing up some patterns for that. So I've been frantically knitting for that. But anyway, I'm also going to be at the Winter Lace Conference in Costa Mesa, California next month. If you haven't registered, I think there's still space. So get your registrations in. Come see me. We're going to have vending. There'll be a bunch of thread and shuttles and needles and yarn and patterns and books. And I don't even know what all we're going to have, but it'll be super fun. So anyway, Costa Mesa, California. Make sure you get registered. Get your hotel information, you know, all that good stuff, just all that good stuff. And I'm pretty sure it's winterlaceconference.org for the website on that. I will link it in the description on this video. But anyway, like I always say at the end of my videos, please take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and craftually. Clearly, if you are watching this video, you are a crafter. So I think 15 minutes of crafting a day would really help your mental well-being. I know this was a little more than 15 minutes, but I already feel better because I feel like I've accomplished something with my one little square. So I want the same thing for all of you. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you for the next episode. And anyway, have fun. Keep crafting. Bye.